Hey everybody, Todd Vandermind back for another edition of Freedom Steals. So today I'm going to follow up on some questions I've been getting about the Illinois legislature. So more about what's going on in Springfield after the intro. Hey everybody, Todd Vandermind, former NRA contract lobbyist, Illinois gun law guru, the gun Santa, tactical Santa over on Reddit. But hey, so I've been getting a lot of questions about what is going on with the Illinois legislature. And if you'll notice, I don't do a bunch of videos on bills that are just get introduced. And the reason is sometimes these bills have been introduced year after year. Sometimes these bills are what were called fetcher bills. They are thrown out there, designed like a stick to a dog to play fetch with and bring it back and to elicit a response. Sometimes they're virtue signaling. There's a bunch of reasons for it. And the way the Illinois legislature is operating these days, it's not operating the same way it used to when I was stomping around down there. So what's going on? So this year they created in the House the Gun Violence Committee. And this is just a placeholder for all the anti-gunners to vent their spleens. And you still have the Judiciary Criminal Law Committee. You have things that go other places, like the surcharge on firearms and parts by Representative Mayfield. That went over to the Revenue Committee, where tax bills typically go, and the like. So you've got all that. But what the House has done is the House has created these working groups. And these working groups are like little caucuses of members within the Democratic caucus. And they do all the grinding on stuff behind the scenes. And so you have Bob Morgan, who's in charge of the firearms working group. And they sit there and they kind of take all the concepts that are out there and they look at it and say, okay, what's do we think is achievable? What's a bridge too far? What's the issue du jour of the day that everybody's all hot and bothered about? What is somebody's really, hot to trot passion of whatever issue in the gun control world is out there? And they kind of boil them down. And then they'll throw stuff out to our side as to, what about this concept? What about that concept? And they get some feedback. They get some feedback that this is blatantly unconstitutional. We'll never support anything like this. And so they get told no in a lot of different ways. But what happens is, behind the scenes, out of the public limelight, not quite in the cigar smoke filled room that you think some back deal, the Democrats, are coming together and piecing together what they think their priority gun issue is going to be, given any number of circumstances. Was there a shooting that they can take advantage of? Is there something they think that's polling really well? Do they think there's something that's going to put the Republicans in a trick bag? On and on and on and on. So they do all this grunt work, working with the anti-gunners, working with, anti-gun lawyers and groups to massage language, to get it to where they think it needs to be, so on and so forth, until they pop a bill. Now, what's been going on is, yesterday was crossover, or was committee deadline in the House, and a bunch of bills have now been re-referred back to the Rules Committee. But like a Friday the 13th or Halloween movie, Jason or Michael are never really dead. And so anything can get popped back out. But what they will most likely do is their favorite strategy of finding some unrelated bill that is crossed over to the other chamber, and then they will amend the bill in the second chamber, send it back to the first chamber, so it only has to go through a concurrence vote, and they game the three readings rule that exists within the Illinois Constitution, which the Supreme Court has been reluctant to take up to give a definitive ruling upon. So, with that, these bills get thrown out there. Sometimes it's like a temperature gauge to see what the response is going to be a bunch of them. Don't know. So, what it is that all this stuff is out there in this crazy melting pot. And it really, you can sit there and get all spooled up about a given bill, but all they're really good for at this point in time is a concept that they may go after this, they may go after that. Uh, that's all it is. And then we won't know until later on in April, probably somewhere towards the mid to latter half of April, end of April, that what will start to actually bubble to the surface as to what they may actually try to run in a bill or two. And then the fight's on. But it's kind of a lopsided fight, given that Democrats have big supermajorities in both chambers. The Senate has been just slow to take anything up. It seems that since they've done a few things, that they're kind of backing off on some things. They don't have, it's not at the top of their list. But the other thing that's helping us out, that's throwing a monkey wrench into everything, is Trump. And it's what Trump is doing with all these federal agencies and clawing back grant money, and and deciding to rearrange and dismantle the Department of Education and so on. That has thrown a very large monkey wrench into the gears of the state budget. And Pritzker's been out there flailing away because they may not, depending on how much money gets clawed back or turned off, they may not be able to make the budget balance this year. And so all those grandiose plans of new spending that these Democrats have, because it's your money and they just don't care, with all of that, this may come to a screeching halt. So with that, give you the classic example. This week, there was a bill I became aware of late in the game on Wednesday afternoon. It dealt with giving counties an unlimited amount of power to regulate noise. This would be bad in two very easy ways. One, it would let them regulate indoor or outdoor ranges, particularly outdoor ranges, out of existence. They could put such rules on them and force them into such expensive testing on noise that it just becomes prohibitive. The second way is out here where I live in Kendall County. We've had a war going on with the yuppies who move out here from the suburbs, because we're the exurbs, and don't like it that on the opening day of duck and goose season, it sounds like Baghdad out my back door, because there's a lot of open fields in this area and a lot of guys still hunt in this area, and they're smacking them down bigger than anything. And they don't like it. They wake up and all of a sudden, 6 o'clock in the morning, it's like you're living in Iraq, and gunfire everywhere. And they just, what is all this? And so this would, under the guise of regulating noise, counties could sit there and impact what happens with hunting. So I was getting all worked up on the bill, and lo and behold, they didn't get my witness slip to allow me to testify, but they turned around and apologized later. And then the sponsor, when he walked in the committee, got greeted with people from the construction industry, railroad industry, and all kinds of other groups, as well as motorcyclists, and heard about the gun stuff. And it's like, I'm going to move this bill to the floor to see if we can come to an agreement, which there is no agreement on our end. And so it was just a naked power grab, because a legislator had a problem with some teenagers having parties out in cornfields, and it was disturbing a few people. For that, you get a piece of legislation that nobody paid attention to. Oh, we're just going to let the counties regulate noise, not understanding the far reaches of those tentacles. And lo and behold, that bill is now on the floor. However, it is going to be significantly reworked based on my conversation with some lobbyists in Springfield and the staffer on the committee, that if it goes anywhere, it's not going to look like it did. There were 700 witness slips against the bill, which helped, according to the chairman. But things change rapidly. And so what a bill looks like today isn't necessarily what it's going to look like tomorrow. And rather than get everybody spooled up about 75 or 100 bills down there, I just don't think it's worth burning your time and my time on things that aren't going to come out. So later on in April, another month from now, things will start to gel. They'll start to get real. And that's why I don't do a lot of discussions on bills in the Illinois General Assembly. If something really starts moving and it's going to be a detriment to us, yeah, we'll start talking about it. But other than that, unless it is just one where they have pole vaulted right past retard and all the way over to potato, I've seen most of these concepts before, and they've been introduced year after year, and there just isn't a lot to get my blood pressure up. So that's it. That's why you don't see me do a lot of bills, a lot of videos on bills in the Illinois legislature, as it's this early in the game. We'll probably get to some more issues once we get into the first part of May. But as always, thank you very much for the comments, guys, that we've seen on our other videos this week. Thank you very much for your support. Please like, subscribe, copy, paste the link, share it around on social media, your forums, your groups, whatever. We really appreciate all that. And as always, frag out.